going to sell everything. Sell it all.
Forget this. I'm no good. I can't do this. I'm just going to sell all the stuff.
Sell it? I'm just going to give it away.
Today we're talking about setbacks and struggles.
Womp womp.
When things go wrong. That happens a lot.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
When things go right.
That happens less often.
It does. It does.
That's probably not true. It's probably
Yeah.
pretty even. I guess it depends on your mindset, right?
Oh, yeah.
I see where you went.
But,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it does. It depends on how you look at it, right?
Yeah. I mean, you should be so lucky, I guess, to
Yeah.
book the job.
Right.
And then you should
you-
probably celebrate that for others when they do,
Yeah.
even if it didn't go to you. I mean, I am genuinely happy when I hear a voice that I know. Like,
Sure.
oh, that's awesome. I'm less enthusiastic when I hear something I've auditioned for and it's,
Not good.
wow, did they go another way or what? Like I think they just grabbed somebody in the
Coffee room.
coffee room. Yeah. Maybe
Yeah,
I
go
like it's
there.
really a different way. Like at
They
one
grabbed
point,
the barista from Starbucks and said, hey,
you can do voiceover.
you
Do
sound
this.
conversational and not announcery at all.
So
No. Could you fry it a little more?
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes, I totally can.
Okay. Yes, we just lost all of our listeners. We're just like, yeah, you're welcome.
And
No, I
gained
think-
a whole new batch.
I do think it's a matter. Good point. It is very much a mindset.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because say you get, and I've had a couple of holds recently that fell through, and you've had a couple that fell through, but you still got the hold, right?
Right? I
So,
know.
like, you got past the audition process. You beat however many other people auditioned for it, except maybe one or two.
Yeah.
And that's the number you have to think about.
And then, at that point, it's kind of a coin toss, really.
Yeah.
It's the difference between did the person making the decision have a BLT for lunch or a burrito? And how does that affect how they're hearing things now? I mean, who knows?
Or that's when they look at your social media.
Well, hopefully they're not looking at your social media
Well, at least not mine.
to decide things. Ideally, that shouldn't factor in. I know it does in some
shouldn't.
cases, but it shouldn't.
I mean, the only thing I got going against me is like, oh, she must be a dog or cat person. Ew.
Oh, she likes animals.
Ew. Yeah.
Ew.
We hate animals here.
For real. I mean, it is a matter of looking at it from. So I'm curious. For me personally, I audition, forget about it.
Mhm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious to know, what is that process when you know you're on hold? Now that thing that you threw away, don't care about, now you start thinking like, oh my gosh, that's cool. And then usually I go back to even like, I don't remember, like, when did I audition for that?
What even was
Right?
this?
And yeah, because I really forget about it. Genuinely audition, forget about it.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
And,
there are
like-
times where it was like yesterday or, Friday last week and now it's Tuesday or what,
Right.
But it seems like more often than not, it's weeks and weeks, if not months ago. Suddenly
Right.
it comes up and like, oh, what even is this? I don't remember.
Yeah.
Sure.
And
So then you go look it up and you go, oh, all right, I guess they liked that. And then you get excited like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm going to book this. I got some money coming. And then, no,
right. And like, no, sorry.
Nope, sorry,
Nope.
we went a different way. But it happens. But you still got there. You were so close.
So close.
So it means
Yeah.
you did everything right. And once you get to that point, like there's nothing else you can do about it. It sucks.
But then you got to forget again. It's
Yeah.
hard to forget the second time. That's what I was like how do you manage that? It's like, okay, well, because then I go back and, okay, I'm on hold. So what did I do? So I go back and I listen to the audition again, like,
Oh, sure.
okay, all right, all
Mhm.
right. So that way you can kind of prep yourself when you do get to the session. Because if you've
Sure.
given a couple of reads, or let's say it's one of those things where it's a tag and you're like, oh, shoot, I gave them a round of 5. Which one do they like? Do they like them all? Do they like 1 and 3? It gets a little too obsessive. So
Yeah.
it's almost like I have to go through this whole, don't worry about it. If it works out, it does. It's great. But if it doesn't, fine, but it's rarely ever just fine. But
Well, hopefully when you get to that point, it's a live session and you could at least ask them.
yeah.
Yeah.
Usually they do.
Oh, for sure.
Usually
Or
they do have it
they'll
available.
just tell you we're going to play back the one we liked or
Right.
whatever. But,
That helps a lot.
well, I mean, it's okay to feel bad about it, obviously, because
I
we're
wouldn't
so
say that I
close. And
feel bad. I think it's more of it's kind of a letdown, right? Because
yeah.
you then start, when your agent or whomever your client directly is like, hey, what's your schedule look like for this time frame?
Mhm.
And all the sort of things that you're like, oh, shoot, can I move that? Or let's say someone had a dental appointment. Well,
Sure.
I'm looking at you.
That never happens.
You had a dental appointment and you knew you had a session coming up. So you're like, oh, crap.
It was actually the other way around.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the session was booked, and I think I already had a hold,
Okay.
and I just didn't know what time it was going to be. So I got like the earliest I could into the dent because I had a filling pop out, and I didn't want to let it
Yikes.
This is an
be out
emergency
for
visit.
a long time. It wasn't quite an emergency, but it was, I wanted to get it taken care of.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I got in as early as I could in the morning.
Right.
I said, look, I've got to record a national commercial this afternoon, so let's skip the Novocaine because I don't want to be numb for that.
I can't imagine.
And she looks at it and she goes, well, yeah, it's not that deep. We can try. I was like, all right, let's do it. And I felt it like a couple seconds. It was like, yeah, but
I'm out.
It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad.
But can you imagine? You thought you booked it?
And then they cancel it last minute after I'm like, oh, yeah, I just went and got this filling with no Novocaine. Thanks for that. Thanks guys.
Yep.
Thanks so much. Right?
Of course, it would have been worse, though, if I would have gotten the Novocaine and they're like, oh, you're our national commercial like this. And I can't.
It's like, oh, can we move up the
my
session
mouth.
an hour earlier? Are you ready? You're like, no.
No, I can't do it.
Sorry.
Can we move it to tomorrow?
So, yeah, I mean, that's one of the things you do start looking at your schedule very differently when you're on a hold.
Yeah.
It's kind of what I noticed. It's a little bit different in voiceover than it is for on camera. Because if they put you on a hold, if you're pinned for something, that means you're kind of locked in already. Now they're just
Usually,
trying to figure out exactly when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So it's nice that I kind of got the hold and the release on the same day. The
Right.
other one wasn't like that. The other one went through the weekend. And, I was given ample notice, but on camera, nope. So I did have a session that they canceled day of and wanted to do it a few days later or the following week, whatever it was.
Sure.
And my rep went after that fee.
Of course.
So that does exist, but you have to have somebody, advocating for you to get that fee.
Sure, yeah.
Because it's theirs too. So they're like, hey,
Right.
Yeah.
you can't just put us on hold and then not have it happen.
Right.
So, it's kind of I guess avails and holds and all that kind of things are a little bit different for
I don't
us.
think I've had a hold that dematerialized, but I've definitely had avails recently that like, oh, we want to know your availability for like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Like, I'm
And
wide
then
open.
do you find yourself kind of I know, but don't you find yourself kind of going, oh, shoot, do I have to pick up my kid? Did I have
so
a
that's the only
doctor or
thing.
dental appointment or something? Or
That's the only thing usually that I have to work around is, I pick my kid up from school every day. But I have, that's actually an hour after school is done. So I have the leeway that I could pick him up early that day. Otherwise, I just have to arrange for somebody else to pick him up if it's unclear when the time is going to be. But usually it hasn't been an issue yet. Every time I've had an avail check, I just say, yes, I'm available. And then if I have to, miss a meeting or have somebody else pick somebody up or whatever, like I just figure it out.
right.
Again, one of the benefits of the home studio.
Yeah, and working from home and having a flexible day job.
Sure.
Because typically I can either miss or reschedule meetings, which are already very, very few. They know that I'm doing voiceover, and as long as I get work done, I don't have to be like at the keyboard all day long typing out code.
Well, and you usually have a lot of off-hour stuff that happens anyway, right? Because you're dealing with vendors and stuff like that overseas.
No,
No,
I'm
you're not.
No. Mm-mm.
I thought you had something where you're doing something really weird at an odd hour, but
Well, I was working evenings when I was on vacation, quote unquote, in Florida because I didn't actually take the time off. I just shifted my work hours
Yeah.
There
to
you go.
night.
Maybe that's
So
what I
that
was
way
thinking. Okay.
Yeah, so that way I could spend time on the beach.
Right.
Victoria,
Hey,
is your
you know?
light changing colors?
No, but is it? It's doing something weird on the video.
Yes. Yes.
Feed.
You turn orange.
Yep.
I mean, it's a good shade of orange for you, but just checking.
It's her new
I
bronzer.
just wanted to be like a pumpkin. It's a new bronzer. That's a better answer. Let me see if I can.
You know, the color
no.
temperature keeps shifting between.
Right. It's probably
Warm
because
and
I'm
cool.
wearing kind of like a pumpkin color, so maybe that's why it's like going. I can't recognize your color,
Kind of
lady.
puzzled. Whoa, that was worse.
Now I'm blue and greenish.
But your sound is
You're
good.
welcome.
So.
You like blue.
Yes, she likes blue.
I'm blue, abadi abadi. Sorry.
Yeah, so struggles and setbacks, they happen all the time. And, you know, it's okay to feel bad about it or let down or whatever, but you got to just not get stuck in that mode of, oh, why me? Everything's going wrong, blah, blah, blah. You know,
I'm going to sell everything.
Yeah.
Sell it all.
Forget this. I'm no good. I can't do this. I'm just going to sell all the stuff.
Sell it. I'm just going to give it away.
Yeah, right?
And I'll go do something else.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, don't do that. You know.
I can honestly say that's not crossed my mind for that reason. Selling things, yes, but not to give it up.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever had I'm going to quit this. Maybe a fleeting moment early on when I had a particularly bad day.
But then all it takes is just listening to a couple of ads or some other things. You're like, I can do that.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Our
really
job
terrible
is
ads on the radio.
So easy. I was always told I had a nice voice.
I mean, all I got to do is
that.
take a drive and listen to the radio and hear the local ads.
Right?
That half of them half of them are done by the people being
At the
advertised,
station?
and no,
Yeah.
not even air talent, like by the client.
Yeah, not good.
Oh, there's a couple in particular that make me want to punch myself in the face.
I feel that way a
That's
lot
not true.
about
I want to punch them in the face.
about authors who they narrate their own audiobook. I feel like if they just get some training, it would be better. But unless it's a celebrity, even then. I mean, I absolutely loved listening to an audiobook. I'll leave that. It's just I had to speed it up. The woman spoke so slowly when she was talking about her life. I'm like, okay, I can't.
Wow.
I want to hear about your life, but like at like 2.5 times the speed, at least. So, but yeah, I think
that's how I consume most media.
And some people that do their own are so super natural. I listened to Sebastian Bach's book, and
he's an entertainer.
Narrated his own.
Mm-hmm.
He's phenomenal. He's so real, but it's so out there as a narrator. It was I enjoyed it because it was not the norm.
Yeah. Well, he's also got vocal ability, right?
True.
He's a singer. He's also
and he likes to hear
actor.
himself talk.
Well,
that's always helpful.
As long as you like to hear him talk.
Right? Yeah. Exactly. And you purchased his ebook. So there you go.
I did.
I got the one by Billy Idol. And honestly, I grew up listening to that man, had all the posters, had all the things. I was very much Billy Idol, everything. And I got his book. I haven't finished it yet. It's just maybe, I don't know. And I love a good English accent, and he's got that going for him. But it doesn't speak to me, maybe. That's what it is.
American English right here.
But I really wanted to hear, his story, but it just felt so contrived. It didn't feel authentic. And it could be that somebody did the ghostwriting for it, right? So he was reading somebody else's words. He might have played with it a little bit in terms of trying to make it in his voice, but literally when it's about you and it doesn't sound like it's authentic, that's a problem. That's a big problem.
Well, and not everybody writes the same way that they speak.
True.
Right. So if I'm writing something for me that I'm going to speak, I write it in, a way that it's going to sound right when I speak. But if I were writing something for you, it wouldn't be the same. But if I was writing something that was intended to be consumed by somebody else reading it, the phrasing might be different. And so
Right.
then if I go back later and read it, it may not sound as good. I don't know.
When you write scripts, Will, do you write them in a conversational tone?
Depends on the script.
No, I mean, knowing how most copy we get, it's not written conversational. It's written it's almost static. It's just very harsh. Yeah. And, the current trend is conversational read. Mm-hmm. Would you write a script conversational if that's what it took? Or would you leave that up to the artist?
I might kind of split the difference a little bit.
Just to make it easier on the...
Yeah. And I'm not gonna write something and hand it off to somebody to narrate and not have read it out loud myself before.
That's exactly what I say. You can tell when they haven't read it aloud. Whoever wrote the script, you can tell because words don't.
They don't
gel.
sound right together.
They don't.
And you can tell when they haven't read it at all before they send it.
Mm-hmm. With all the spelling mistakes, you're like, did you really want to say lean
did you
in
mean to
or
say
learn in?
Learning instead of leaning?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Huh.
But
weird that we came up with the same example. I wonder why.
Yeah.
Did we open the podcast with that? Maybe? I don't know. Did we?
No, it was not recorded. That's probably a good thing.
That's true. Okay.
What's another setback you got there, Victoria?
Another setback? Other than getting excited about a job, maybe, when you're sending out all those marketing pieces or if you're looking for a new agent and then that's crickets. Mm-hmm. And that can really play with your head for a little bit or for a long while. Like, why didn't they? And then you're going to see on somebody's social media post, I signed with X agent. You're like,
Yay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They didn't even respond to me. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, and it's hard to
I
not
didn't even get a no.
I know. Like, I just went into the black hole of nothingness. And you have to, again, kind of look at that like, well, it wasn't the right time for me or my voice.
Sure. Yeah.
Rather than, and be happy for the other person.
Yeah,
and so much
absolutely.
as you're like,
do you put them on a back burner? Do you put them on a back burner to follow up with?
Well, so if you don't hear back from an agent or if they say, try back later or whatever.
Sure.
6 months at the earliest. A year is even better.
Yeah.
But that's pretty standard. Like if you don't want to follow up more than earlier than 6 months.
Sure.
Some of these auto replies are completely devoid of humanity.
Yes.
So, sometimes it's better if you just didn't send anything back. That would have been nicer. That would have been the nicer approach rather than saying, well, our roster's very competitive and you don't.
Due to our competitive roster,
I'm like,
we do not have a place for you at this time. Oh, so you're telling me I suck.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Yes. Even though it's a generic response.
Because you don't have to send anything back, and I might already tell myself that I suck because nobody's getting back to me.
See?
Right.
Why just put salt in that wound? But thank you.
Yeah.
It's just a rude reply. We don't. Yes,
I
we'd
don't
like
think
to hear
it's intended
something.
to be that way, but it can feel that way. Sure.
I mean, even in the corporate world, or looking for a regular day job sort of thing, and if sometimes when you hear nothing, it's better than getting the standard. Due to the high volume of candidates, we've decided not to move forward with your application.
Thank you for your interest in Company X.
Yes.
Yes.
We will not be moving forward at this time.
Yeah.
Dear, state your name.
Yeah, I love that when it's just in parentheses. That's right. Thanks.
Well, here's something for newer people who just, they start the journey, which is more of the work than the actual recording of putting together that list. Contacts, whether it's production companies or if they feel they're ready, agents. You get a reply from a production company or one of these smaller, just a company that houses a roster. And they say, hey, we loved your stuff. We're going to put you on our roster. And then you never hear from them again. When I mean, obviously they're filling a roster. They've got more than one person. How does what's in your opinion? What's a suggestion for someone who's following up on that? Do you follow up on that? Do you treat that as the agent and wait for them to find that job for that person?
I think it depends on what it is, right? If it's just a talent roster, I probably wouldn't even bother. If it's a production company, I might shoot them an email quarterly or a couple times a year and just say, whatever. If I've got a new demo to share with them, or
Sure.
you want there to be a reason you're reaching out, not just you got anything for me yet? But
Or you send an updated demo. You can reach out that way too if you've booked something.
Didn't I say that? If you have a new demo, I thought I did. Maybe I didn't. I don't know.
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, neither was I, clearly. But yeah, if you have a reason to reach out, you got a new demo, or you just booked some big national thing and you think it's cool and you want them to know, like, hey, check this thing out, or you win an award, or something that gives you a reason to reach out to them, then reach out to them and become top of mind again.
Right.
But if you're booking regularly with them,
don't
then
hand them every
it doesn't
week.
matter.
No.
Yeah, no. And certainly not daily. Ugh. If you're doing cold email outreach, do not send your follow-up the next day after your initial
didn't
contact.
hear from you. Why?
Don't even send it the same week.
Desperado.
Couple weeks later, maybe. And also, you really shouldn't be trying to book a job from cold email. You're trying to start a conversation. You're trying to introduce yourself and shake hands.
And show you're professional.
Get to the table to start having a conversation, not even, not, hey, hire me for XYZ because I'm awesome. Couple exceptions, I suppose, like radio imaging. Obviously, that's why you're contacting people. You want to be their new imaging voice. You're just telling them, hey, I do XYZ, I do this format, I do that, blah, blah, blah. If you're looking for somebody, I'm your guy or your gal, right?
Yeah.
And hopefully they are looking, because if they're not, then it doesn't matter.
Right.
True.
Because in imaging, oftentimes you got to wait for somebody to die to get a job.
But if you're on someone's roster and you just don't hear back or something doesn't come through, it doesn't really mean anything if you might hear from them later. So I'm on various rosters around the globe, and one in Spain, I had been part of their roster that I knew of. I signed up, did all the things, and then everything was radio silent for at least a year plus, and then I booked a job with them out of nowhere.
Is that the one you sent to me?
Yes.
I've gotten a couple things from them, and
right?
It's always like, we have this job. Are you interested in being included?
Yes. I had that too, and they asked
I say
for my
yes, and
recording.
then I never hear anything.
And then they're gone. But they do actually book people, and I know people that have booked, and I've booked myself. But again, it was that whole amount of time that went from that first conversation that we had to actually booking a project. And since then, I've had another, they've reached out again, asked what my availability was, and then it was quiet again. So, but that's kind of the nature of the business, because everything's moving. They're not thinking about the talent when it comes to production.
No.
They're thinking of their production timeline and how they can make this, quickly work. So I don't want to be that person that slows down whatever process they're working on.
Right.
If they want me, they know where to find me.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, just like Will pointed out, reaching out with a new demo or an award-winning demo, Al, that's a good reason to reach out. Like, hey.
It is.
Especially if it's a talent roster or a production company, and the demo that's new or updated is what they have on file, because they need to update it anyway, so that they can share it with their clients and whatever. You know, and a lot of these rosters are huge. And so you may never hear anything, or very rarely hear something, because their clients are going through the roster and listening to stuff, and based on your name or whatever order they're going through stuff. Like, I'm at the end of every list, because both my first and last name are toward the end.
I've seen myself at the end of the list, because they're doing it by first name.
Your end or middle.
Yeah.
Al's beginning or middle.
Right?
Yes.
And then maybe they do it by age, and then maybe you're cut out, and, whatever. Who knows? There's lots of
Yes.
different reasons you never hear anything.
There is.
So all you can really do is control the parts that you can control, right? Just make sure that your training is on point and you can deliver a performance consistently every time.
Make sure you're ready for when that call does come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You certainly shouldn't be submitting to rosters or agents before you're ready, because you don't usually get a second chance to make that impression. Or, if your first impression is not good, they'll remember that probably even more than if your first impression is really good, right? Because if it's really good, they're going to sign you probably. If it's not, they'll remember you because, that was that guy that had the chicken in the background on his demo. You remember that guy?
I mean, seriously, I worked as a producer on a project and we signed in like the entire cast, right? Doing all the fun PA work. And there are 2 actors that stood out as people that I never want to work with ever again, based on their attitude, how they walked in there, and their expectations during the whole thing was interesting. I don't want you on set ever again.
And that could be the same thing if you're pestering somebody by email.
Yeah.
Like,
They'll
why
remember
haven't
that.
I heard back from you? Why am I not booking anything? Why am I not on your roster? How come you never responded to my inquiry when I tried to join your agency? All these things are going to piss people off, and they're not going to want to work with you. So, don't set yourself back.
Man, you're just giving out nuggets tonight, Will. Nuggets, I say.
Yeah, well.
There you go.
One of these days, we'll have a whole bar. Not just a little piece.
It's the VO bar. What do you mean?
Oh, well, then we're
That's
set.
right.
Is it
We're good.
gilded in
Could
gold,
be.
in
Jerry.
gold?
Gold.
Could be. I know
Ooh,
people that have
gold
taken care of the
slugger. There we go.
graphics.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
The
don't think
VO
it's that
Gold
important.
bar.
I don't think it's that important. So what advice do you have if you're experiencing setbacks and in a funk? What would you do?
Go for a bike ride. Do something else that's not VO related.
Just get away from it. Take a break.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Or record a podcast episode.
Yeah.
Create your own work. Seriously.
Record a podcast episode and complain about being about the setback.
There you go.
Yes.
Setbacks.
I mean,
Yes.
Done.
it doesn't have to be
They're
a
a thing.
podcast episode, but commiserating with somebody,
Yeah.
complaining about whatever helps.
Right.
Because everybody's got a vent every
Well,
once in a
just
while.
getting it in your head and realizing that you're not the only one.
Yeah. This
I mean,
happens
there's
to
tons
all of us.
people.
Yeah.
Yes, at any level.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I mean, we heard that speaker, the gentleman who he was in his 60s or he was in 70s, and he says he was busy up until a certain age, and then all of a sudden the jobs are fewer and fewer, and now he's living with the fact that that's what his voice future is. It's going to be a point where there's less and less jobs for him.
Mm-hmm.
That's a harsh reality.
Unless you're lucky enough to become a voice of whatever the next Simpsons is.
Yes.
And then you're set for 30 years plus and, making $1 million an
That
episode
would be
or whatever.
amazing to be able to do something when I'm in my 80s.
Yeah, well, see, you can do the voice
looks-
now.
I could.
So
Yes.
you just
Just grow into it
Yes.
naturally.
Eventually, this will just be my natural voice. Yeah, there you go. Just,
And I'll be
just do it
selling
today.
oil of Olay. And you could look younger too.
Could
Wow.
look like me.
Wow.
Maybe she's born with it. Oh, maybe it's Maybelline.
That's it.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. That'd be great.
I think you need to be a little bit more announcery, though, because it should be back by then.
That's true.
Right? So if you're going to prepare the future voice,
You have to go into the
you got to go with
past.
the future performance style, too.
Okay.
Ooh.
Maybe it's Maybelline.
I can't. I can't even look at my screen because I can see you
Don't.
guys while we're doing this, and it's making me laugh. So we're done. It's all good. But yeah, you get the point. But
I hope I'm not
think
getting sick. I don't know if you can tell, I got a
there's a
extra,
setback.
there's an extra deep something here going on today, right? In a world.
There, yeah, you.
It's not even as
Wow.
it was worse earlier today. It was very, but yeah, there's some rumbly going on. I hope I'm not getting sick because that is definitely a setback.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it's also a season of the sneezing
The
in most places because
season
it's
of the sneeze.
April and May with the different pollens and things like that out there.
Well, I am fortunate to say that I don't have any significant allergies. I was tested for things a couple of years back,
Nice.
and the only thing that came back was some kind of like swamp grass or something. Like, I don't know,
Okay.
whatever that is.
They are those are things that can develop later in life, though. I mean,
And it would
you've
be
had
horrible.
You've had it tested recently, so that's an exception.
And it would be
to
horrible
that,
because I have like 200 trees on my property,
Right?
all different species.
not good.
So
On his
when pollen
acreage.
comes around, it's like you go out in the morning and the car is yellow.
Yeah,
Ugh.
Yeah, it's gross.
I've had that in the South.
But I do know that, that's an issue for people in Texas. Basically, everybody in Texas has allergies. Because
Yes.
the pollen's just so strong.
We have very dusty times here because of the desert and the
Mhm.
desert Southwest. Not good. Not a fan.
Not awesome.
Bad
No,
air
wherever
quality.
you are, prepare. Just take care of yourself. That'll avoid a portion of your setbacks right there.
Right.
I mean, if you can't record, that's a setback.
Yeah.
Well, see,
But
I
that's
prepare
also
myself
something you
by
can't
living in a
really
physical and mental
control.
bubble. So nothing gets to
There
me
you go.
ever, mentally
No,
or
it's-
physically.
It's a booth. It's not a bubble.
A
it's
booth.
a booth. That's
But
what it
Booth
is.
Boy doesn't have quite the same ring to it.
Did he say nothing gets to him?
You're not getting to me!
I don't know.
Oy vey. Oh, my.
You
All right, do we
saying
have
nothing gets to you is like me saying nothing gets to me.
So totally accurate.
Yes. Because although I say it, I don't mean it.
Setbacks happen. Deal with it.
They do. I try to meditate and find a different outlet, go bike riding,
Yep.
watch a really bad movie, and then I really feel better about myself. Like, wow, at least I didn't do that.
Yeah. At least I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
Oy,
Just realize
yeah.
you're not the only one, and you'll get
Yeah.
through it.
Don't worry. It can always be worse.
Oh, the words of wisdom. We have so many, folks. Wait to hear all the stuff we have.